Hey there, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Psych. I'm joining you today from the rooftop of my new apartment. I know it's been a couple weeks since I posted. I was so close to being able to do the whole summer of Psych, but the last few weeks with the move and everything got really crazy. So I did take a little bit of a break, but I'm so happy to be back posting a video for y'all. We are, like I said, on the rooftop of my New York City apartment, and today is the first official Saturday of college football, so I'm repping my favorite football team, and we've got some coffee, and basically the vibe for today's video is going to be a quick story time about the process of my move from my old apartment, mostly the process of moving the plants. You know, the rest is just typical moving stuff, but the process of getting my plants safely and healthily from my old apartment to New York City was a little bit of a process, and it was, well, I'll just show you. We did have some casualties, unfortunately. And as I'm talking through the kind of process in this story, I'll throw some pictures and videos up for you to see, but basically the way that I did it is I gave all of my plants like a really good watering, and like made sure that they were just like pretty healthy before trying to pack everything up and move it, and then I put all the smaller ones in cardboard boxes just without the tops. I'll put some pictures up right now of that. And then my bigger plants, namely my fiddle leaf fig and my monstera, I put in the U-Haul, and overall that went well. I had one leaf break off the monstera, but the fiddle leaf fig was fine, and so we got to the city and started unpacking and everything was fine. And then I made a crucial mistake. So as you can see here on this roof, it's only about 9:45 in the morning, but it is already baking. Like when I started bringing stuff up here to film this video, I had my sweatshirt on and my warm coffee, and I was like, oh, it's just a crisp early autumn morning, and then within an hour it feels like it's 80 degrees up here. There is full sun exposure up here. And so I was stupid, and when we got here I took all my plants and was like, oh well, they've been in a U-Haul for 2 days, so they'll feel nice to get up on the roof and get some sun and all that. And so I left them up here just from like noon until nighttime, and then the next morning I went to bring them in, and oh my word, they had gotten so crispy. I'm talking, my monstera might not make it. She really might not make it. And my fiddle leaf fig is bouncing back. The lower leaves are fine, but the upper leaves are crispy. And I was really glad that I didn't bring all of my plants up here. In the meantime, I just brought the big ones. But the small ones, I also had to leave in my car for an extra day. And the sun coming in on the windshield of the car made those pretty crispy too. But I'm kind of setting the scene for it to be terrible. In reality, most of them are very fine. And now I'm just gonna do some like general care to make sure they're doing more than fine. But yeah, I did want to make sure I included some pictures of the before and after with the move. I took a propagation from my monstera before things got too out of hand, but I just didn't realize how much sun this apartment roof was gonna get. And then on top of that, I'll do maybe a tour, or I'm sure throughout the next videos you'll see kind of how my apartment is set up. There's almost like a greenhouse on the top, so there's full sun coming into the apartment all the time, which is such a change from my old apartment where we didn't get very much light. And so because of that, I think it was just a shock to my plants to be getting that much sun all of a sudden. So they're not doing fantastic, but we're gonna make that a little bit better. So then when I had some free time, I went to a really cute plant store and picked up some new pots and some potting soil to help kind of heal and rejuvenate the plants that needed it. And I haven't actually done that yet, so I'm going to kind of walk you through, while doing some repotting, my plan to make sure that these plants can be as healthy as possible given the unfortunate turn of events with the move, and just, yeah, try to rehab some of my plants back to pristine health. Yeah, that's really all this video is going to be. It's probably going to be really short, nothing crazy, kind of just catching up and letting y'all know where I'm at, what I've been up to, because I did miss making videos, and I figure the best way to get back into it is just by jumping in head first with kind of a chill, down to earth, just repotting my plants, how it all started, you know what I mean? Okay, so I have some of the plants that I'm going to be either repotting or just switching out their soil. Really, I just got a small bag, so I'm gonna try to do as much as I can with that and then go from there. I usually try to make my own soil mix, but with the move, I had to leave a lot of my plant supplies behind, so we're starting kind of from scratch, and then it'll be kind of a fun journey of, you know, y'all will hopefully see the transformation of my apartment and my rooftop becoming more plant friendly as we go along. But for now, I have a couple plants where either their soil has some pests in it, like this Chinese money plant here, or plants that have just far outgrown their pots. So we have this really big pothos here that has too small of a pot, and another reason I want to change and increase the size of this plant's pot is because it's in one of the parts of the apartment that gets a ton of sun and is really hot, so it dries out faster. So the bigger the pot, the more soil it can hold and the more moisture it can retain for longer. So let's go ahead and get started with that. And then, yeah, I just have some other plants where, and I'm actually gonna take this one out of the sun here. Contrary to what you would think, plants don't love constant sunlight, or at least a lot of them don't. A lot of houseplants like partial shade, and so don't just stick something in a super bright and sunny window and expect it to flourish if that's not what it typically likes. Step one is just gonna be moving this pothos into a bigger pot. This is like a really sturdy, I don't even know, I guess it's stone, but she's thick, she's big. And I also wanted a really bottom heavy pot because this plant is long, like it vines a lot, and it's gotten to the point where once the soil in the pot dries out, it started to tip over because it's so heavy. So I wanted a really heavy pot so that it would stay put. So I have the outer pot, and then I just have the little plastic pot. And honestly, what I'm gonna do is just fill up the bottom layer of the new pot, and then I'm not even gonna bother like taking the pothos out of the dirt clump and trying to like break up the roots. I'm just gonna stick it directly in there so that we can try to make the soil go as far as possible. So let's just gently start to wiggle it to try to get it out. Trying not to break any of the roots. But yeah, you can see a really compacted root system in there. And it's also very, very dry. And then I'm just gonna fill around the rest of the pot with the soil. But yeah, so far, we've been here for about, my husband and I have been in the city for about 3 weeks, and we've really, really loved it. It's definitely been an adjustment from where we were before, but a welcome adjustment. I'm so happy to be here. And I was really looking forward to kind of trying to set up a little garden up here. I know that a lot of herbs really do love full sun, so I think that's gonna be fun to try to grow some herbs. But overall, this has been a really fun adventure and a fun adjustment. I'm glad that I was able to bring all of my plants. I was really worried when I was looking for apartments online that I wasn't going to be able to find one in our price range that had good enough windows to support plant life, and it seems like I've been blessed with the opposite problem of having too much sunlight to the point where my plants are getting crispy. So we'll see. I welcome the challenge. I'm really looking forward to cultivating kind of a greenhouse vibe in the upstairs of the apartment. I hope to do some sort of plant tour at some point to show you guys the setup, because it's gonna be pretty cool, I think. But I'm really looking forward to a lot of New York inspired content that I've been thinking of over the last couple weeks. I definitely want to do a series on living sustainably in New York City, because there are definitely some things about living here that are harder to do sustainability, or harder to do sustainably, but then there are a lot of things where it's easier. For instance, a welcome change about living here that I really enjoyed is plastic bags are illegal, or not, I don't know if it's illegal, you don't see them in grocery stores at all. And I haven't used plastic bags for years, but it kind of felt silly. I would go to the grocery store with my reusable grocery bags, but then the person next to me would check out with 50 plastic bags, and you have to kind of wonder to yourself, you know, am I really making that much of a difference? But seeing nobody around you use plastic bags either, it gives you a little bit more encouragement that, wow, okay, so we are making progress, like this is making a difference. And so I'm excited to share kind of how sustainable living looks in New York City. I do think things are starting to get really windy up here. It's also starting to get hot. But yes, so we have this new plant in its new home, and the soil looks just so beautiful, so rich. I don't know how much of that you can see, but I think that this is much more fitting than that little small pot. This is a 6-inch diameter pot, I want to say, at least 6 inches, maybe 7. But before it was in a 4-inch diameter pot, and so it needed some room to grow, and hopefully it will retain moisture a lot better in this new pot. And it shouldn't be tipping over when it dries out, so huge plus. The next plant I want to take care of is this Chinese money plant. And the plant itself is fine, but I got this as a gift, and when I did, I noticed that the soil already had some soil mites in it, and that's just not the energy I'm trying to bring into the new apartment. So I am just simply going to pluck this one out of this soil and then repot it into a smaller pot. Trying to be really delicate because it's a baby plant, very small, and has a very delicate small root system. But yeah, there we have it. And the pot I'm gonna put it in is the one of this old dead plant. This one was kind of already dying before we moved, and I just kind of threw it in the back of the car and it died. So rest in peace, but now we can use the pot for something else. If you are a plant parent, you get to the point where you're like, plants are gonna die, it happens, and you try not to give yourself too hard of a time about it. But I'm just gonna move that over there for a second and just pluck this one right on out. I'm just checking inside the pot to make sure there's not any bugs, and there are some, so I'm gonna rinse it out. Okay, so we are bug-free and ready to get the new soil in here. Also, this Chinese money plant is in need of a name, and I would love to have some help from y'all on what I should name it, because this is one of the first new plants I've gotten since I've had the channel. I know it's weird, like I started out this channel with a lot of plants, and I've kind of just been maintaining them, But now that I've moved and like as I get settled in here, I hope to get a bigger collection going. So this can be the inaugural plant naming if anyone would want to comment down below some name suggestions for my little Chinese money plant. Okay, now I'm just going to pop a little hole in there. And tuck it in. Look how cute! I love that. It is now bug-free since '03. Okay, and same kind of story for this African violet. It's healthy and everything, but the soil it's in is not. It's in desperate need of a soil refresh because there's some bugs, and also the soil is just kind of crispy, and so whenever I'm watering it, I think it's just kind of going around the sides and not really getting into the roots. So I want to swap out the soil for this bad boy, and then I think I will be out of soil, so I don't think I'll be able to do the other plants that I have that are needing some fresh soil. But I'm glad that I got to, at the bare minimum, help this guy out because it was struggling up in that really sunny corner of the apartment, and now hopefully it will live a longer life. So I kind of just had to pluck this off of the top because the root system wasn't growing down, it was growing out, as you can see. And these are plants that they're fine with a little bit drier. You're actually not supposed to top water them. You're supposed to water them from like the bottom, and then the water kind of goes up because the leaves don't like water on them. So, but yeah, it was very dry. And the soil was having a hard time getting water to the plant itself. So I'm just gonna take this dirt and chuck it and then try to refresh it up with some new soil. This was what the pothos was in, and I'm just gonna put the violet in here because when I took the dirt out of the pot that the violet was in, there were lots of soil mite eggs and also just like a really massive bug, and I went downstairs and sprayed it with bleach to try to clear out the eggs from that pot, and now I'm just gonna put it in here in the meantime instead. So we roll with the punches. But I can basically just fill this pot completely up because there is no residual dirt left on the violet, as we can see. And it was growing kind of at a weird side angle, so I'm just gonna make sure I plant it back vertically so that the root system is deep down into the soil. And that means that the plant's gonna be at kind of a funky angle at first, but it will move with the sun back into a flat position after a little bit of time. So this pot isn't as ideal for a violet because the old one had that little lip at the bottom where you could just pour the water directly into a bottom tray and then it will soak upwards. But this one is not the worst thing ever because you can just pop out the plastic pot and then bottom water it that way. But new home, pest-free, new soil. So hopefully all of these plants can start to get a little more pep in their step and start to make this new apartment their home, just like I am. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this really short, just chill plant potting / story time video. It's been really crazy trying to move, but I really want to keep you guys a part of it just because I love this channel and I love our little community that we have here. I am going to spend the rest of my day glued to the TV watching college football. I would love to know which teams y'all are rooting for this season and what games you're excited to see today in particular. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next video, and until then, take care.